Well, quite the contrary. Cotton is 60% below its all-time high. Coffee is 70% below its all-time high. Silver is 80% below its all-time high. Sugar is 85% below its all-time high. I hardly call that, some kind of speculative fervor. Now, yes, lead made an all-time high last week. There's no question about that, and some things are at all-time highs, far above the old all-time highs. But many commodities have hardly seen the light of day.
It's a great point, because the beauty of commodities, it is virtually the world, everything. Every product out there uses some sort of commodity, so it really does run the gamut. So if we're talking about today's market, what do you like? What are you looking at? What do you think is low or
If I were looking for things to look at to buy today, well, I would be looking at agriculture. That's where you have things that are still far, far below where they could be or should be, certainly on a historic basis, and that's where you have fundamental changes taking place. The number of acres devoted to wheat farming has been declining for 30 years. The inventories of food are the lowest level since 1972. You weren't even born in 1972. For 6 out of the last 7 years, the world has consumed more than it's produced food-wise. So, no, there are many opportunities, potentially many opportunities in agriculture.
And another depletion of those resources is we've seen the uptick in ethanol production, of course, draining corn commodities, and a lot of farmers taking their land, and instead of growing other things like wheat, for example, there's a vested interest and there's a reason, an economic reason, why they should plant corn, and they are.
Well, the politicians love ethanol because they can buy a lot of votes, and everybody loves to bash the Arabs. Ethanol is not good. It's not going to solve our problems. In fact, it's going to cause many other problems, as you point out. It's going to distort agricultural production patterns. But who cares what I think? If the politicians love it, it's going to happen. They're going to take money out of our pockets, give it to the farmers, give it to their friends who are producing ethanol, and there's going to be a huge, gigantic market in ethanol, but not just from corn, from sugar, and from lots of other things. So ethanol is a great future, another reason to buy agriculture.
Soybeans as well. I mean, just the biofuels in general. When we get to the point of cellulosic ethanol, it'll be a whole new ballgame. But we're so far away from that now. Is there any reason for an investor to be thinking that far ahead? And so many of the researchers say we're in the most aggressive we could be 5 years away, but the more realistic we're 15 years away from seeing cellulosic ethanol.
Well, in any meaningful quantities, yes. I mean, some will start pretty soon. But your point is extremely good. It'll take a long, long, long time, and in the meantime, we don't have that many acres we can devote. Maybe they're going to plant corn in Central Park someday, but for the most part, we don't have enough acres to produce as much as the politicians would love for us to, and whatever it does, it's going to drive up the price of everything, including cotton. If everybody plants corn, nobody's going to plant cotton, so the price of cotton is going to go through the roof, and the price of the shirts are going to go through the roof, and everything else.
So when we talk about ethanol, and it brings up one of the commodities that gets the most attention in the media, which is oil. What is your feeling on the price of oil in the mid-60s? Are we here to stay?
I mean, mid-$60 per barrel. Yeah. Well, the surprise is going to be how high the price of oil stays and how high it goes. I mean, if bird flu wipes out Europe, oil's going to go to $40. If there's some exogenous event occurs, prices of everything are going to collapse. But if that happens, you should buy oil as much as you can, and that'll be the first thing to go back up again. Because the price of oil has to go over $100, Mary. It has to go over $150. Nobody has discovered a major oil field in 40 years. All the great oil fields in the world are in decline. Alaska's in decline. Mexico's in decline. The North Sea is in decline. The UK has been exporting oil for 25 years. They will be importing oil within the decade. Malaysia has been exporting oil for decades. Within the decade, they will be importing oil. Indonesia is a member of OPEC. OPEC stands for the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. They're going to get thrown out. They've started importing oil. 10 years ago, China exported oil. Now they import oil. Unless somebody discovers a lot of oil in a very accessible area very quickly, the price of oil is going to go a lot higher.
And the consumption seems to be climbing as opposed to conservation kicking in and seeing any kind of decline. Part of it, of course, is the world market, but we just look at consumption in the United States, and it continues to climb. I mean, at some point, Something's got to give. You'd think if you look at a market as a big rubber band, you'd think at some point things are going to come back, contract slightly. It doesn't seem to be happening.
Even if it contracts in the U.S., remember Asia is now in the game. There are 3 billion, with a B, people in Asia, over 10 times as many people as live in the United States. They all know how we live here, and they want to live the same way now. 3 billion people are increasing their consumption of energy and everything else almost on a monthly basis. So you're going to see much, much more demand, even if it slows here.
So we may see a temporary pullback in oil prices, given, as you do see with the world situation, something would happen, there could be a pullback. But the long-term trend is $100.
Oh, more than $100. If you adjust the old highs for inflation, for oil, for inflation, back to 1980, oil should be $100 right now just to get back to its old all-time high, inflation adjusted. So I know it's going to go over $100 a barrel. I mean, short of worldwide collapse, it's certainly going to go well over 100, well over 150.
And it's important to point out, when Jim talks about oil hitting $100 or $150 a barrel, he is not talking about buying next month's contract. He's looking at the long term. He sees oil prices trending much higher, not lower, in the months and years ahead. He writes about oil in his book, Hot Commodities, and when we return, Jim shows us how to actually purchase commodities on the exchanges. And of course, I want to hear from you. If you have a question about commodities, you can call or you can email on the web. You find us at cn8.tv, and our Money Matters voicemail box is 1-877-862-9374.